Hello, everyone. I am Jillian Mason, and this is Medicare for All, the podcast for everyone who needs healthcare. So, here at the Medicare for All podcast, we are usually focused on the US, but we all know that the fight for real universal access to healthcare is one that stretches way beyond our borders. So today, we're going to take a global perspective and check in with a group of doctors, many of whom are putting their lives on the line to address serious devastation happening right now in Gaza and its impact on the health of Palestinians living through that devastation. We're joined today by the founders of Doctors Against Genocide to talk about how a political conflict spirals into a public health crisis and what kind of action we can take to stop it. So our guests today, we're so pleased to have them with us, are Dr. Kamara Hawash Kumerli, a pediatric neurologist in Boston, Massachusetts, and Dr. Nidal Jabbour, an internist in Dearborn, Michigan, who both together co-founded Doctors Against Genocide, which is, just quoting their mission statement, a global coalition of healthcare workers dedicated to succeeding where global governments have failed in confronting genocide. That is a noble mission. If there are noble missions, that is a noble one. So I just thank you so much for being here and taking some time out of what is a very busy schedule that y'all have. Now on our show, we really like to talk a lot about what makes people see injustice and stand up and confront it. So I hope we could start out actually, just if each of you could tell a little bit of your personal story and how you came to be called to do this kind of work and got the courage to step up and do it.
Don't start.
Nidal, you want to start?
I prefer if Karama starts. If you don't.
That's cool.
Okay, so this is a very important story for the genesis of Doctors Against Genocide, and both of us actually are Palestinian. We grew up in Palestine in the West Bank. We both grew up under occupation. We experienced what it's like to be discriminated against, having checkpoints, knowing that our freedom of movement is restricted because of the occupiers and because of rules that make no sense. And this made us very aware of what injustice feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we actually went to medical school together. So we both finished high school from Palestine, and we both came to medical school. And, in medical school, one becomes very, very busy.
Yeah.
And while we're in medical school, our families continued to be under occupation, and we continued to pursue our medical careers separately. But as we became adults and physicians and parents and all that, Nidal stayed in Palestine a little longer, and I came immediately to the United States, and it's our roots in our communities and our homeland did not leave us, and we continue to hear about the practices against our people that continue to actually become more draconian with time.
Right.
And as medical doctors, we felt that a genocide is almost like a medical condition.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
festers and it doesn't get better. And there are signs and symptoms that predict it. And the aggression of the occupation towards the Palestinians actually got worse and worse and worse. More confiscation of lands and more incarceration of young people, and
Right.
And we started thinking that all these are signs and symptoms for a bigger problem that is going to manifest as a genocide.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to go back to this idea of diagnosing genocide as a medical problem, because it's one of the really, I think, interesting and exciting contributions y'all are making to kind of reframing this issue in the public mind. And then Nidal, did you want to add to that and talk a little bit about your story?
Yeah, I mean, just to take off from where Karama ended. I mean, we became physicians. We are established. We're working. We're doing our, our duty as doctors, providing for the patients, for our patients, trying our best to give them the best care we can. But you still continue. I mean, being originally from Palestine and witnessing the status of the world, where everyone, many countries like in Palestine, Sudan, and Congo, Rohingya, so many lives are being wasted unnecessarily. We felt like there is some emptiness here. There is a gap between what the medical community here and all over the world are doing
Yeah.
to do everything they can to save lives, while there are so many lives that are being wasted unnecessarily and in a way that's very preventable. And we felt like the medical community should have more say in this. If we go to school to save lives, we swore an oath to save lives everywhere,
Yes.
here US or globally. Our role should not be just limited to our clinics and hospitals. There is something missing, that there's a role that the medical community should expand upon its traditional role of providing care to the privileged, to the one who have access to care. But what about all those millions and hundreds of millions of people all over the world, even here in the US, who don't have access, or who are healthy but their lives have been deemed dispensable because they're
Right.
the wrong region, the wrong color, the wrong side of any conflict. And we thought that medicine should have a say on this, and that was the motivation why we as doctors, we needed to step up. We needed to add an extra layer to the other types of groups, for human rights groups and international groups that are fighting to protect life. So I really like your title, Medicare for All, and this is really good. We're both supporters of this. This is very valid and acceptable, and needed here in the United States. DAG will be Medicare. I mean, you have the Medicare for All. DAG will be health and protection for all, and not just in the United States. This is what means to be medicine and in the medical community: health and protection of life everywhere.
That's beautiful. And honestly, that's, doctors that's what we should all be invested in, right? Protecting life everywhere. And I just think that's a wonderful sentiment. And I think that the way that y'all are living that really is impressive and really just tremendous. So can you just talk a little bit more about Doctors Against Genocide and what the organization does, what kind of work you're doing? I saw from your website that you're in the middle of a bunch of different kinds of projects. So please just lay it all out for us and let us know what you've been up to.
So we started as just the two of us talking for hours and hours about what it would take to mobilize the medical community to become not just like Nidal described, somebody who sits in an office or in a hospital responsible for one patient, maybe two patients, maybe 10 patients a day, to a global community that feels the responsibility to have a say in protecting life everywhere.
Yeah.
And we started working on that, and we came up with the medical definition of genocide. And we just the two of us, we submitted it to a conference where we were given a very small section to describe, what our ideas and our thoughts. Although they were very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. I know we were going to come back to this later, but do you want it seems so essential. Do you want to kind of explain the idea of like the genocide as a medical condition? It seems like really at the heart of everything. So do you want to just explain that now? That would be great.
Yes, sure. So it's every disease has signs and symptoms. That's how we diagnose a disease. Symptoms is what the patient complains of, and signs what we see when we examine the patients.
Hmm.
And a genocide has a pattern that is recognizable for the observant, and the pattern consists of the the arching picture is the dehumanization of a population. So rhetoric becomes dehumanizing. So these people are evil, or they're the root of all evil, or they
Hmm.
should be punished for who they are, or what they have done in the past, or the language, the dehumanizing language becomes is an arching thing, and then
Yeah.
there is discrimination against a certain group. There is a racism. There is a classification where a certain group becomes classified as different or categorized,
Yeah.
segregation, ghettoization, and then there becomes more and more in terms of violence. So there will be mass murder or pogroms or ghettoization, and then the final stage is the extermination.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order for all these, and if we look at each genocide, we see the same pattern over and over again. It repeats itself.
We can see so many of those patterns in the United States as well, right? I mean, thinking
Yeah.
about like the dehumanization of immigrants and people of color, and even trans people and queer people, right? We see all the beginning phases of that, right? We're just short of pogroms.
Thank you, Gillan. Actually, we at Doctors Against Genocide did alarm that these communities, the immigrants in the United States, the LGBT community, the trans, and many other marginalized communities are at a threat and risk of being genocided at one point.
Yes.
Also, the African American, because there are campaigns of hate, of dehumanization and demonization being launched against them by, unfortunately, by our government and by our administration and by significant section in the society. And the more you keep saying this, especially through the government, through the mass media, people with time become accepting this as the norm, that the immigrant, oh, he's a danger, he's a criminal, he's a drug dealer,
Right.
he's
Right.
coming to take our stuff, he's a risk. And believe it or not, there might come a time that there might be a widespread campaign of the, I know ICE already started such a campaign to
Yeah.
snatch them and deport them and disappear them. But if this continues, you will reach a point that vigilante people or small groups, people, citizens will take this in their hands and start either killing or harming these people.
Yeah.
And distilling things together, you said medical condition. What is a medical condition? Medical condition is anything that affects health. Whatever affects health is a medical condition. It's not just cancer. It's not just bacteria. It's not just germs. Racism is a medical condition.
Yes.
Discrimination is a medical condition. Dehumanization is a medical condition. Occupation is a medical condition. Apartheid, all these social and political determinants of health. Politics is a medical condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once it starts affecting life, then it becomes a medical condition and becomes under my jurisdiction as a doctor. You can do politics whenever you want, however you want, as much as you want. But once you come to infringing on life and health, then it becomes a medical condition. That's why we're thinking about the genocide as a medical condition. And me and Dr. Hawash and Kamarli, actually, we went even further. We went back and we studied the history of genocide, the research on the genocide in the last century, century and a half, and we found that genocide alone took more human lives than all other epidemics and pandemics in the past century. Genocide actually claimed the lives of almost 175 million people in the 20th century.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All epidemics and influenza and COVID. I mean, there was not COVID past century, but all of them are like 30 to 50 million people. I'm I'm not saying this is not significant, but genocide claimed more lives than this.
Yeah.
All wars combined in the previous century, including World War One, World War Two, and all of the wars combined, claimed the lives of about 60 million people, which makes genocide the gravest or one of the most impactful, one of the most dangerous risks to human life, not just overseas. It can happen anywhere. Every marginalized community in the world is at risk and the threat of being genocided at one point if we don't interfere early, step in early, and take care of those risks. And
Hmm.
since it's a medical condition, we were we were surprised. Why our medical schools never taught us this?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
appreciate the all the skills we learn in medical school, doing surgeries and sutures and treating pneumonias and all these things. This is important, but if you have a condition that is a public health disaster that claimed more lives, and that despite all the international rules to stop it or prevent it are not working and keeps repeating itself, different areas, different ways, claiming more lives, this is something we should learn about in the medical school: how to spot it, how to identify the risks early, how to intervene, how to use our voice, how to advocate for
Hmm.
communities at risk. Like now, I mean, if a patient comes to my office with the risk of child abuse or domestic violence or something,
Right.
I have to report this, and this is the right thing to do. What about if I'm in a community like in Congo, that the whole community that is being genocided, or under apartheid, or
Right.
occupied, or being dispensed with? Since we grew up in Palestine, I mean, the occupation that Palestinian people, the discrimination, all these structures of domination that our people have been going through for the last 75 years, including us,
Yeah.
these are all determinants of health. Our health as people, it's impinging on our health. We don't have enough access to health. Many young people, Palestinian, are being killed because they are deemed risky or terrorist.
Yeah.
Right of movement, access to hospital, access to healthcare, the freedom, the right to be yourself. All these things eventually affect your health in a negative way.
Absolutely. No, that's I always tell people that bad politics is more dangerous than cancer, right?
Yes.
Especially given the fact that most cancer deaths are augmented by bad politics, right? So yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense, and I get the sense that a lot of your work is about reaching out to American physicians about that's this kind of responsibility. But Kamara, I'm so sorry I interrupted you earlier when you were talking a little bit about the work that you're doing. Do you want to just go in a little more into depth about that?
Karama.
Karama, my apologies, but please
No worries.
keep correcting me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started by saying that we were a very small group, yeah, basically two people, just frustrated with the state of the world, and brainstorming about what to do with our professional expertise. And we started the organization, and we grew very, very quickly. And we have now thousands of people who call themselves Doctors Against Genocide. And the doctors, nurses, healthcare workers all over the world. Our biggest, we have a lot of people in the United States, of course. We have the next is United Kingdom, actually, UK.
Oh, excellent.
And
A lot of people
Canada.
in Canada and
Mm.
Germany, Australia. Uh, we have people from Austria. People reach out to us from New Zealand. So
Wow.
it
Truly
was
global, right? Yeah.
it's very global, and it's very stunning in a way, and very reassuring to us that we're actually doing something that
Yeah.
resonates with people, and we are onto to something. So because we now have a lot of people who actually identify with the mission, and the mission is what makes people feel motivated to join Doctors Against Genocide. Our actions are consistent with our mission. So we our mission is not only opposing genocide, for sure, but we also support the communities who are victims of genocide. We try to identify early signs. Political will to prevent genocide is extremely important, and political will can only be exercised with a lot of public pressure. And
Absolutely.
public pressure is something that the medical community can do very well. So a lot, the prevention of genocide, and the detection and the prevention of genocide should be the medical community business from A
Absolutely.
to Z. And because our members are motivated people who want to do things, we started actually having these campaigns. We have campaigns. Our focus is on Gaza, but we also worked with communities from Rohingya, from Sudan, from
Yeah.
Congo, from where else?
Immigrants. We actually we care about the immigrants' health in the United States. We did have few colleagues who are working on this, and a few supporters, and we're trying. I mean, what we are doing is offering the medical community. That's our goal, to offer the medical community the platform. Medical community everywhere. The medical community in any country in the world is a very powerful community, but unfortunately, they have been silenced, self-centered, and neutralized, and they thought that just by practicing traditional medicine, which is important, we're really proud of the advancements in medicine, and we want to push more on that. The part in medicine that we are not really proud of, in a way, maybe a little bit ashamed of, is the profit and
Yeah.
medicine and becoming like a business model. So it's not something we're very proud of. But of course, I mean, this is something else that we need to work on. But also, it's just that there is more that the medical community can do. That's all. We want to offer the medical community everywhere, whether in the United States and everywhere else in the world. We want to give them the platform that their voice, their presence, their leverage, their conscience has more to do for humanity and to protect humanity. We thought that if the medical community can use its presence, its voice to prevent one war or one genocide, we can save more lives than sending medical aid or going on medical missions or doing surgeries for a decade. One war, which is just pressure your politicians wherever they are, solve conflicts peacefully. There is always a better way than murder and mass killing.
Yeah.
Whenever you see a community at risk, make sure the medical community intervenes and put guardrails, put safety protections for that community, educate against hate, prosecute hate, so that community becomes more protected and safer, and not become at less risk of being harmed. And like in medicine, why we do vaccines. The thing is, we talked about that, about the definition. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Because if we as a medical community just stay in our traditional roles and wait for these things to happen, then our intervention after these conflicts escalate and start claiming life usually comes too little too late. But in medicine, regular medicine, we create vaccines for measles stuff because we know that we can save more lives by intervening early, and we know that prevention is key in medicine and protection from life. That's why we do cancer screening, we do all kinds of screening. We need to do the same for these problems. Whenever there is a community at risk, whenever we see the early signs symptoms, we need to intervene as a medical community in a preventative way before things escalate, before things become more threatening to human life, to save more lives.
Yeah.
We continue to be just doctors and claim the pseudo neutrality that the colonized and Western medicine likes to brainwash us into.
Yeah.
Then we failed our duty to save lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't stay neutral on a moving train, right? Yeah, absolutely. So I do know that, I think the emphasis on prevention makes a lot of sense, right? But I know that a lot of your members also have been on the ground in Gaza, really putting their lives on the line, right? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what they've observed there, what kind of learnings they've brought back. I mean, I think, we were talking before we started recording about journalism and how hard it is to get an accurate view of what's actually happening. So do you think you could just lay that out for your listen for our listeners a little bit about what exactly the depth of the crisis right now?
Uh, so one of the things that we have a lot of members who have been on the ground to Gaza and who come back and have been speaking to the media to shed light on what is happening. What is also important is that we actually have direct communication almost second by second with our colleagues on the ground in Gaza, the doctors,
Yes.
the nurses, and the medics in Gaza, and they are the ones that that have a very vivid idea of what is happening. So we speak with our colleagues at Al Nasser Hospital, at Kamal Udwan Hospital, at Al Shifa Hospital, and literally minute by minute. And if we are not communicating with them, our hearts sink.
Yeah, right.
So, and what we are hearing is a horrific story. Yesterday, Dr. Jbour and our members from flew to DC, to Washington, DC, tens of them, and they gave testimonies in a press conference. And I urge everyone who's listening to actually go to our YouTube and listen to the testimonies.
Yes.
The doctors. Some of them have been there, and some of them were just saying what we are hearing from our colleagues. Basically, we heard from a young orthopedic surgeon a couple of weeks ago. This orthopedic surgeon is described. He works at Al Nasser Medical Hospital. They are getting 5 mass casualties every day. Each mass casualty, they bring the injured, the wounded on the floors, mostly declaring people dead, even when they're not even dead, because they know they cannot save them.
Wow.
This morning, one of the doctors sent us a video of a child, not even one, with his left arm cut off. And the child is screaming in agony, and there is nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
They are sending us of pictures from the floors of their corridors where they're just trying to save people on the floor by giving them IV. And the most recent catastrophe is that people are coming to the hospital in droves, tens of them and hundreds of them, because they are starving, nothing, they have
Right.
food. So by now, the doctors have nothing to eat, the nurses have nothing to eat. They stopped the meals in the hospitals because they do not have food. And the patients are coming to the hospitals hoping that they can be resuscitated, maybe by an IV, or
Wow.
maybe the hospital can give them something to eat. And we're seeing the images from these emergency rooms and these hospitals with people are almost nearly comatose because they're totally starved
Because they're
for days. I
starving.
mean, for somebody to reach the stage where they are nearly unresponsive because of starvation, that means they have not eaten for like 10 days,
Wow.
10
Oh
or
my
12
God.
days. The first 2 days you're hungry, the third the and then you're like a little bit disoriented and dizzy and all that, but then you reach the point where you're comatose or nearly comatose. And
Right.
that is what we're seeing coming from Al Nasser Hospital and Al Shifa Hospital and Al Adwan Hospital. It's a real it's I don't think any of us imagined that
Yeah.
at some point we will be seeing these images in our lifetime.
I
I
mean,
can go on and on. I'm sorry, but the pediatricians are telling us we are seeing diseases that we thought only existed in textbooks.
oh man.
The severe starvation, the kwashiorkor and marasmus. We learned about it in medical school as as extinct, but maybe it's a good thing to learn because somebody might ask you about it in an exam.
Right, but it's taught to you as something that was just a thing of the
Because yeah, it's
past. Yeah.
totally esoteric, like never happens, but just learn it because in a test somebody might ask you about it. In Gaza they're seeing it.
You bring up children, and one of the things that I was interested in on your website is you call this like the global epicenter of the crisis in children's health, right? That this is, and I know that the large proportion of the population in Palestine right now is actually children, right? Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that and just how that's impacting folks? Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'll try to be quick. So children are the most vulnerable. They
Right.
do not have our reserves, so they are the first ones to fall when there is dehydration. They're the first one to fall when there is starvation.
Right.
Not only do they need the food to actually to sustain themselves, they need it to grow. Their brains need a lot of nutrition. Their muscles need a lot of nutrition. So not only are they comatose because they're hungry and because they're dehydrated, we have stopped their development.
Yeah.
Their brain developed. You need tons of protein and sugar and fat, good quality fat to actually have normal neurological development. Gone. This is irreversible. These children, if they survive this, they are going to have everlasting cognitive decline, mental health issues, neurodevelopmental issues. It is a catastrophic thing.
Yeah.
And autoimmune diseases, because the starvation and lack of nutrition ruins the immune system. So what does that mean? That means that people get sick much easier, and that's
Right.
for children. They do not have vaccines right now, so the children are more likely to get sick, and with diseases that we thought are extinct, like polio. We just heard from our colleague whom we are in touch with almost every hour, Dr. Al Farah. He is reporting massive numbers of a disease called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a very rare condition that comes once in a while in a hospital. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
neurologist, so we see it. Maybe we see 3 cases a year, and I'm in a major tertiary referral hospital.
Yeah.
Meaning
Yeah.
they have been seeing multiple cases every week.
I
It's a rare disease. It's an
it's
autoimmune disease.
it's such a rare disease, but actually, I do have a really close friend and colleague. Shout out to Edwin Argueta in Boston, who actually had Guillain-Barré, and so I got a kind of close-up view of just how devastating that is. That's like full body paralysis reaching up to the lungs, right?
It a sense reaches to your diaphragm, and if you're not treated immediately, it kills you because of respiratory failure. And not only that, there's acute flaccid paralysis, another autoimmune disease that looks like polio. And the reason why the explanation for this is the combination of severe starvation, very poor immune system, and the poor sanitation of water and sewage, which causes all these infections to rage. There are raging infection zones in Gaza. The bacteria that is common and that is not common is happening, and the viruses. So again, we go back. Genocide is
Yeah.
a medical condition.
Yeah, you see here like this confluence of all of these different social determinants of health, right? And every single one of them is
100%.
under attack right now.
If you don't, I want to add just to this. I mean, you
Please.
talk about the medical community and our colleagues going there on missions, and as you said, they're great doctors. There is a lot of people, good conscience within the medical community everywhere, who are risking it all to go and help wherever they feel they can help, wherever they feel their expertise is needed. And yes, many of our colleagues go there, and also our colleagues from Gaza are reporting to us every day. It's just a horror story that none of them has ever seen before. Many of our colleagues who went there They are not just people off the medical school. These are people who have great skills, the most advanced skills in medicine. They have been to
Yeah.
multiple wars. I know Dr. Feroza, Dr. Parmater, each one of them have been doing, this type of work for decades. They went to like 10 areas of conflict before, 10 wars, Ukraine, Africa, Haiti, everything else. And every single one of them is reporting, we have never seen this before.
Wow.
This is not a war. This is not a natural disaster. This is something beyond imagination. And you feel it the minute you just step in. You don't even need to be there for days or weeks to know that.
Hmm.
We cannot even imagine how our colleagues who are there in Gaza, they have been during this for 22 hours, are able to do it. And part of the genocide, it's the total attack on the society. They want the whole society to collapse. The
Right.
attack on the infrastructure, on the sanitation, on the schools, the education. Every single university have been destroyed and bombed and wiped out. And also the attack on healthcare. There's something called medicide. We came with something called medicide, which is the attack on the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare workers, the paramedics, destruction of
Hospitals and clinics, right?
all these things. We more than 1,500 healthcare workers have been murdered in the last 22 months, more than any other conflict in recent history. Um, um, More than 75 of the hospitals have been destroyed and attacked. All hospitals have been attacked. Our colleagues and the people in Gaza, because they have no other way, they're trying to rebuild them, and maybe they have few hospitals that are still partially functioning with minimum supplies. Uh, Despite the fact that are having more and more casualty, the attack on the people in Gaza by Israel, by our bombs, as American people, we pay for these bombs. It's
Right.
getting worse. They're getting more casualties. At the same time, they're having less doctors, less nurses, because they're either being killed or displaced or injured or tortured and raped in those torture camps. Uh, we know all these people. This is not just history. This is not
Right.
not talking about something theoretical that happened in 100 years. This happened in front of our eyes now, live stream. The victims, the doctors, the nurses are showing it to us. And unfortunately, despite all of this, despite the America being the only sponsor of all of this, we see little movement by the American people, by our government, by our elected officials to stop this. And every doctor who goes to Gaza, all our colleagues who go to Gaza said, even if we send all the doctors in the world to Gaza,
Right.
they will not make a much difference, because the scale of the crime, the constant killing, attacking the whole population, the pace is, we cannot even keep up with it. Especially
Yeah.
when you are in a hospital that's lacking everything: no anesthesia, no medications, no IV fluids, no food now. And what makes it worse is this is not a natural disaster. It's not like something we really have to deal with. This is
Right.
something that we can stop now. None of this should have happened. I don't need the most skilled neurosurgeon doctor in the world to put back the brain matter of a child back in their skull. This should not have been happened to start with. This is something the amputation.
Absolutely.
I don't need all these fancy prostheses. Those children should not have been amputated. They should not have been attacked. They should not be killed. The mothers that they get bullets to their wombs, and they lose their life. They lose their. It's
Yeah.
not about having more doctors or more nurses to deal with this. This is something that we should stop. It should not happen.
Right.
I understand this if it was like an aftermath of a natural disaster or a
Sure.
natural accident. Okay, but this is something we are inflicting. It's a man-made, and
This is a
now
choice. Yeah.
exactly by choice. And it's
Yeah.
our government that's funding this. We can stop it. We have to use our voice to stop it. We don't need more doctors going in missions. We need
Yep.
more doctors going to Congress to stop this. We can save more lives if we stop this now, the ceasefire now, and end this war. We can save more lives than anything else the global medical community can provide combined.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I do want to move on now to just like to talk about how we can solve this problem. I do just want to mention though, for our listeners who might be curious, one of the reasons that Karama and Nidal, you've both wanted to go to Gaza to be on the ground, right? But you're both being prohibited from going because you're Palestinian, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So this kind of
discrimination, just it has
Another
no border.
everywhere,
other side of it.
yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about solutions. I know that you're demanding a ceasefire. Talk a little bit about some of the policy recommendations that you're making that you think could make a real impact on this situation.
Can I go, Kramer?
Please.
So first of all, this can stop with a phone call by President Trump. President Reagan did this in '82 with one phone call to Israel and ordered them to stop now, immediately.
Mhm.
President Trump did that 2 weeks ago with Iran because Israel wanted to keep bombing Iran. They called them, their jets, the American fighter jets, the American bombs were midway in the sky. He called them and told them, stop it, bring them back and turn your airplanes back. And he should do it. He can do it now. He said that he's strong. He keeps his promises. We, the American people, many people voted for him because he came with this promise to end wars, to bring peace. He needs to live up to his promise. Otherwise, if he breaks his promises, as unfortunately many other politicians do, then he needs to come up to public and say that I'm breaking my promise. I'm not able to live up to this promise. He promised to end the war in Ukraine, to end the genocide in Palestine, to bring peace and get a Nobel Peace Prize. Go ahead. And
Yeah,
you don't have to
do it. Yeah.
It's not complicated. We don't need any more negotiations. The children, more than 1 million child in Gaza being starved to death in our name. This is not complicated. You need to pick up the phone and do it. And we know Israel will listen because Israel has no power, nothing if the United States stop sending money and bombs and give them all the political cover. Stop it now. Stop the carnage now. Allow all the aid in now, immediately. No complications, no negotiations. This is not controversial. After you do this, then you can sit down with whoever you want. All these, fighting parties, sit down, solve this any way you want, peacefully, but away from the lives of children and mothers and fathers who have no, commit no crime, who have nothing to do with this. Let the politicians do their work, but please, we need to save the people there. Our colleagues are sounding the alarm, especially in the last few weeks, because no food, no medication, no water entered Gaza at all, zero in the last 90 days, more than 90 days. And I think I remember the days of COVID when we first had COVID here in the United States, we got a lockdown for a week or two.
Right.
The most advanced, the biggest economy in the world, the most advanced country in the world, we went in panic. I mean, we did not even find toilet paper to buy. Imagine the people of Gaza that have been going genocide for 2 years. They have been under siege for 20 years. And now 90 days, not a single drop of water or food or bread or, vegetable go in, no medications, no medical supplies. And you still have the guts, you still have the audacity to argue that, are they, what do you think? Of course they're starving. Of course they're starving. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, can you please imagine or try to do a lockdown in any city in the United States of America for not for 90 days, for a week, and see what's happening?
Right.
For 2
Absolutely.
weeks. And these people, they have been under siege for 20 years before that. So this what needs to happen. Enough lies, enough coming up with excuses, enough claiming that this complicated, has to wait. Let's do another month of negotiations, another 2 months of negotiations, because lives are on the line. The risk is very imminent now, and we're talking about a mass death event that history did not see before, not just the recent history. It's a mass death event happening live stream on our watch with our orders and our money. Stop this now, please. President Trump, every politician, every institution, every organization, every university, American Medical Association, everyone who has a conscience in the United States and all over the world should sound the alarm, should stop it immediately. Then politicians can go in their political rooms, they can go wherever they want and solve whatever they want to solve. There is always a better way than mass starvation of children. This is a call for the American people. We are better than this. I know the American people know the truth, will not accept this. And again, it is we, the people, that this crime is being committed, in our name. but without our consent. So please do something. Every one of us can do something. Please call your politicians. If they keep hearing me and Karama and people who are, the very few in the country who've been sounding the alarm, we're like the common suspects. Of course, it's easy to dismiss us as being Palestinians or brown people or
Sure.
activists, stuff like that. We want the average, regular American, the Christian, the evangelical, the MAGA. All these crimes are being committed in your name, and you need to know that mass starvation of children is not a good stain to have on your name, whoever you are.
That's
You,
right.
this will put you on the wrong side of history forever. This will have historical and strategic consequences. Plus, even as a human being, well, how do you accept that? Forget about me.
Right.
We don't need calculations. I mean, imagine. I mean, we all have children. We have nephews. We have nieces. We have children in the school. Imagine your child going to sleep every night crying, not because it's out of hunger, because they have nothing to eat.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, despite all the carnage that's been happening, only like about few children died of hunger in the last 2 years. But in the last 2 weeks alone, more than 130 children
Jesus Christ.
died out of pure starvation. And the doctor saying that we are actually afraid that this is gonna be exponential now, because those who are the dynamics of starvation, how it happens. Like now, even if you stop it now, the dynamic does not stop it. It's going to take a few weeks before this thing
Yeah.
start to recover. And even if you want to stop it, you have to be careful sending the right food to stop it. You cannot just give people, candy and sugar and starve people. If you give them candy and flour and just, those cheap
Right.
substitutes, actually you might put their life at risk. So this is something that is astronomical. It's very catastrophic. It has to be dealt now immediately. We have to allow all international organizations, all aid organizations in the world, the UN, the World Food Program, the World Central Kitchen, the UNRWA, the Oxfam. There are more than 400 organizations that they say they have the food there. They have all the supplies. They have the medications. Everything that Gaza need, the whole population of Gaza need for the next 3 months is there at the border, and it's been ordered by Israel and the United States not to get in. They are
Wow.
not even asking for more money. They're not asking for aid. Please just take your knee off our necks. We know how to do it. We have been doing it. We have the experience. We have been doing this in multiple conflicts all over the world for decades and decades. We have the supplies. It's already paid for. It's already sitting there. We have the
Right.
personnel. We have the logistics. We are the best at doing it in a neutral, in a dignified, in a independent way, and the best way to do it, rather than the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. This is a new American lethal system
I
being done
see.
by mercenaries who have never done aid before anywhere else in any conflict, and they are doing it in a militarized way with coordination and orders from the Israeli military as a tool, as a weaponized tool, using food as a weapon to murder more people, to displace more people, and to put people's life at risk. This is something that Israel and the United States have introduced in the last 2 months, and so far more than 1,200 starved individuals have been killed at those, aid distribution camps unnecessarily. They're using them as death traps for young men and girls and women who are starved to death, and they have no choice. Either you stay home and die from hunger, or you go and risk your life to get, a sack of flour, or a bag of bread. And
Right.
some people choose to stay home and die at home silently, because of starvation. And the numbers that the hospitals, the healthcare, they are reporting is uh, is a big understatement of the death toll.
Right.
People are just dying at home. No one knows about them, and there is no recording them. Or you risk your life and you go there. And every day since this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which was engineered by American Boston Consulting Group and American mercenaries, every single day there has been 4 or 5 mass casualties at these death distribution camps, and on average, there's like 30 to 50 starved people are being killed every day, and 100 to 200 people are being injured, many of them critically, in the last 2 months. This must stop now. the UN, the Cindy McCain, the wife of
John McCain. Yeah.
McCain. She is the head of the World Food Program. She herself is saying that this Gaza humanitarian foundation is a death trap. It's dangerous. They don't know how to do it. Just give it to us. She's the head of the World Food Program, and
Yeah.
she's saying, "I don't need money from you. We don't need to waste any more, American tax dollars. We have all what we need there. It's only 2 miles away from the starved people. Please, President Trump, just pick up the phone. Allow this. Stop this carnage. Stop this massacre. We are better than this.
Yeah.
And history is not going to be kind. And our souls, I don't know how they go to sleep at night, knowing that whatever they're allowing is is making children die out of hunger.
That's
Kids
right.
don't go to sleep. Their mothers trying to find they don't have water. They don't have food. They don't have anything. And again, not because of the lack of, it's there, it's available there. It's just because we choose to follow Israel, genocidal Israel, in this dangerous, anti-human campaign.
Right. Right. Karama, did you want to add to that and say, talk anything else about, what people here can do to fight back against this situation? Yeah.
Uh, so I encourage the medical community to join Doctors Against Genocide, encourage our colleagues to join our weekly webinars. We are very much focused on Gaza because, just like you heard from us, it is a complete disaster. But if you are moved as a medical doctor or as a medical professional by a higher calling to do something more meaningful and more impactful, join Doctors Against Genocide. We have a place for you.
Excellent.
And the things that we focus on when we go to the Congress or we go to the Senate, we want to develop a relationship with our elected officials. We want them to know who we are. We follow what they do closely. Sometimes we try to put a resolution or ask them to sign a letter. We sometimes draft a letter for them and ask them to sign it for us. Usually, the letter is to help fulfill our mission
Mm-hmm.
of preventing genocide. So, a lot of the resolutions and the bills that are aimed to let aid in or fund UNRWA or end military aid to perpetrators of genocide like Israel or like United Arab Emirates or like some players in Sudan, we keep an eye on them and we support them with our numbers by our members and our numbers. And this is a very new thing for the medical for us as a medical community.
Right.
We have only been doing this for 2 years. We have already been able to connect with a lot of our elected officials. Sometimes we ask them to post social media posts on their Instagram or their X account. As trivial as this might sound, it's actually extremely important
Right.
because these elected officials are followed by their constituents, and this is how policy changes, and this is how public pressure changes policy. So these are tools that we are learning how to use together as a community, and we are putting them at the service of people who need protection, who need help.
Yes.
And that is our call for our colleagues. Do more, honor your profession.
Mm.
One more thing I want to add. Yeah,
Sure.
you don't need to be a doctor to join us. Anyone in the healthcare, system, nurses, paramedics, anyone, and even if you are not in the healthcare, if you are support, if you believe in this mission, please join us because we want more of us, all people of good conscience, whoever we are, to join our forces. For the regular Americans, if you go to a church, please speak up. This is being done in our name, and we know that you don't support this. If you are against this, please speak up at your church, at your school, at your hospital. Healthcare people, talk to your CEOs, talk to your administrators, talk to your colleagues. This is a top emergency. This is a public health emergency. We actually came up with something called Code Genocide. I mean, this is the worst
Mm,
the worst situation. Any our humanity in general can be put under, especially the healthcare community. So everyone has a role. If you're a regular citizen, please talk to your elected official. If they hear more and more of us, eventually they will listen, because now they're listening to the war profiteers, the war machine, the special lobbies, the APAC, all these lobbies that advocate for war, for crimes, for domination, for genocides. But if they hear more of the average American, of their constituents, believe me, they will eventually listen, because politicians, as bad as they are, they want to get the benefit and risk. And if they hear that
mhm.
more and more constituents are speaking up, and that they're, at the next election they might pay a price, then they will reconsider and they might do the right thing. And it is the obligation on all of us. It's moral, and actually, when it comes to genocide, it's a legal obligation on every human being in the world to try all what they can to do something to stop it now. The sooner we stop it, the more lives we save. Otherwise, we will be complicit both morally, ethically, and legally.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just want to thank you again for taking time out to be here. Both of you have such powerful stories, and I have to say that as someone looking in from the outside, the situation in Gaza right now is one that feels a little bit hopeless. And I think that the work that you're doing is really injecting some hope into the situation by kind of suggesting a new way in which we should be seeing this and thinking about it. And I just really, truly appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Karama.
One thing that I want to say, uh, we told you that we're in touch with our colleagues in Gaza who are hungry, starved, they can hardly eat.
Yeah.
They saw the press conference from yesterday, and you should hear the message that we got.
Mm,
It was from one of the doctors, and he said, I wish I was with you, standing, speaking up like this. You honor our profession.
mm.
Just that alone was enough for us to feel that what we do is worthwhile.
I'm tearing up here.
I,
That's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to add one more thing. So, well, we cannot lose hope. It's never hopeless. It's dark. It's a dark chapter of our history, but it's never hopeless. And even whenever we think that we're giving up, or whatever we're doing is not moving the needle, we remember the 1 million child who are being starved now in
That's
our home.
right.
How can we go to sleep with them being starved and massacred, and 2,000-pound bombs are thrown at them to crush their skulls, their mothers, their fathers? Yesterday, I was in DC, and there was a colleague, he's a writer and poet from Gaza. He shared some stories. He was there in Gaza early in the genocide, then he was able to get out. He shared a lot of things. But one of the things that stuck in my mind is just the sound of these massive bombs
Yeah.
coming at, just the sound alone is scary. It shakes your soul.
Yeah.
This is really horrendous. I want to please the American people. What is happening is beyond imagination. I don't think that me or my children or any American, any human being want to even come close to hear the sound. It's like the most scary sound in the world, let alone that these bombs, each one of them obliterates the whole neighborhood, let alone that each one kills 100 children, 100.
Right.
We already have more than 20,000 children slaughtered, with our bombs and complicity. So it's never hopeless. And even if it's hopeless, because the children, there's still more survivors in Gaza than those who died. We
Yeah.
cannot give up on them. And as Nelson Mandela said, it always feels impossible until it's done. We, we
That's the
cannot
truth.
we cannot give up on the children. It's tough. They made us feel that it's impossible, but it's not.
That's
It can
right.
stop now, and we will not sleep until this happens, and we can make it stop now. Thank you, Gilad, for giving us the opportunity and for being a voice for the children in Gaza, the mothers who are starving now or scared now from these voices, and no one is listening to them, for being their voice. Thank you.
I just am so impressed with the work that you do. And I know that after this is over, I'll be going to your website, which is doctorsagainstgenocide.org. And I know that I'll be joining, and I'd really encourage all of our listeners to do the same thing. Yeah, we stand in solidarity with you and the people of Palestine, and especially those children who are so vulnerable and who represent the future of an entire people. Again, thank you. I also want to apologize again for mispronouncing Karama's name. It's something that Americans have to get better at as a whole. I just thank you so much to the guests. Thank you to our podcast team. Our podcast manager is Angelique Davis, who has been our podcast manager for several years now and is going to be moving on to other adventures. But thank you so much, Angelique, for everything you've done over the years to make this a great podcast. We love you. And thank you so much to our audio editor, Craig Stanton. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment and share this with your friends. And also remember that this podcast is a project of the Healthcare Now Education Fund. And you can support the pod by going to www.healthcare-now.org and click on the donate tab to send us some love. So thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe and stay dangerous out there.